If something were to happen to you tomorrow, would your family have to go through probate to be able to access your assets? A revocable living trust is going to help avoid exactly that. Let's cover trust in 5 minutes so you can learn what you need to learn, help decide if it's right for you, and continue on. So, a revocable living trust, in short, allows you to leave your assets to who you've named without going through probate. That's what it is. That's the short of it. That's generally the reason why clients want to get a revocable living trust. So let's break it down, the different roles in a trust. You have the grantor. That's the creator. That's the person who makes the trust. That's going to be you. You have the trustee, the person who manages the trust during your lifetime. That is also going to be you. Then you have your successor trustee. That's the person who steps in if you're unable to manage the trust or upon your passing. That is your successor trustee. And then you have the beneficiaries. Those are the people in your trust who are going to inherit from the trust as you have outlined in the trust. So that is the short of the different roles in a trust and how they work and what purpose they serve in your trust. Now let's go over like the flow of the trust and how it works. Step 1 is you create the trust. Then step 2, you transfer your assets into the trust. Now, during your lifetime, you stay in control of the trust and all the assets in the trust. So you can do whatever you want to do with those assets. You can buy more assets, you can sell assets, you can refinance them if you want to. They're all yours. You do what you want. Also, there's no change in any of like your annual tax filings. During your lifetime, the trust just uses your social security number. It doesn't have its own trust number, so there's no different tax filing for your trust in your lifetime. It's just you are one and the same as your trust. Now, upon your passing, your successor trustee then distributes your assets according to the terms of your trust without going through probate, and it remains private. Now, after you've passed, then the trust will get its own tax ID number, but during your lifetime, it's the same as your social. Now, what can go into a trust? Really, anything and everything can go into your trust. So, your home where you live would go into your trust. If you own other real estate, a second home, an investment property, that goes into your trust. If you own any businesses, your interest in those businesses get assigned to the trust. Any financial accounts? Now, there's two ways to handle financial accounts. You can either transfer those accounts into the name of the trust, so you're like retitling the name of the owner of those financial accounts into the name of the trust, or you can name the trust as a beneficiary to those accounts. So upon your passing, they go into your trust at that point in time. A lot of times the latter is preferred because you're not having to rename the account, get a new debit card, get new checks, do more paperwork. If you name the trust as a beneficiary, it just receives the funds upon your passing. So that's usually easier to manage in your lifetime, but up to you either way. With your personal property, so your household goods and belongings, your cars, your boat, your RV, we don't retitle all of those things. And for your household belongings, most of those things will not have titles. We don't retitle any of that. We do a general personal property assignment that says whatever personal property I own goes into my trust. That way, as you buy and sell cars and change those smaller assets, you don't have to worry about retitling them every time. Now, what are the reasons that people would want a revocable living trust? Well, there's a few reasons. So one is to avoid probate. That's usually the number one reason why clients want a revocable living trust. Also, they want to keep things private. With a will, it gets filed in probate court. It's public record. They don't want that. They want more privacy. Also, it keeps your family out of probate court because everything's in the trust, right? And so also, if you own multiple pieces of real estate outside of Washington state, you're going to want to have a trust, usually, because that way everything's owned by the trust and you're not having multiple probates in multiple states. So if you had a home here in Washington and a second home down in Arizona, you may need a probate in Washington and Arizona, whereas if you had the trust and had both houses in the trust, there'd be, not only would there not be two probates, you wouldn't have any probates because it would all just go through the trust to whoever you've named. Those are kind of the reasons why clients would want a trust over a will. When there's a will or a trust, they're both fully revocable. You can change them, modify them, update as you see fit, as things change in life. You have full and total control over the assets and those estate plans themselves. So how do you know if you should have a revocable living trust? Well, do you want to avoid probate? That's the first question. Do you want more privacy? Do you want to keep it out of court? Now, also, I will say a trust is more expensive to set up than a will. So there is a cost factor as well. However, keep in mind that upon your passing, there's going to be a probate. And generally speaking, the cost of probate and a will combined exceed the cost of a trust. But for your out-of-pocket initial expense, the trust is going to cost more. If getting your estate plan done has been on your to-do list and you want to get it off of your to-do list in 2026, and if you're in Washington State, because I'm only licensed in Washington, feel free to reach out. We can see if we can help you. If so, we'll get you on my calendar for a consultation. You'll meet with me, Darcel. I'm the attorney of the office. We'll talk about what your needs and wants are. Is a will-based plan better for you? Is a trust-based plan better for you? And go over kind of what your needs and wants are for your estate plan. So we do consultations by phone. I do them by Zoom. We do them in person. Whatever your preference is, we're happy to accommodate. So contact information is linked down below, and I'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye.